When you also talk about Pilates, it what does it exactly focus on, and how is it different from stretching?
The main difference would be that it's spring loaded, right? So if you're on the reformer and that's one of the apparatus, when you could be stretching, you could be doing strength, you could be doing resistance, and because there's spring tension, when you hold a stretch, it's just gravity that's working and you only go into the limit you can. When you're on the reformer, it's pulling you slightly or it's pushing you, depending on, and your muscles have to react to that differently, so it elicits a different response. So I could try and touch my toes, not be able to get there. I can go on the reformer and do an exercise that loosens up my hamstrings or loosens up my calves, and then I can get 2 to 3 inches more range of motion. So it's something that aids you in being able to be more flexible, but you always want to get flexibility that you can use. So your muscles have to get used to that too. It's always like when someone says, I was in a hot room and I was able to touch my toes. Like, yeah, because you're warm. But when you leave that room, you don't have that range of motion. That's the main difference with Pilates. And you do an exercise on the reformer specifically, you leave the room and you'll still have that range of motion because your muscles had to work against the springs. It's not a passive stretch. It's an active stretch. So it's like, okay, I'm stretching, but say, just for the sake of discussion, it's 5 pounds of resistance pushing against me. So now your muscles are, oh, I have to react to that. I have to push against that. And they start getting stronger. And then you get more range of motion and then you get stronger in that range of motion. So it's like a whole system. Like it was really genius of what Joseph Pilates thought of.
I was reading about the history of Pilates, but I think the Pilates were also called something else back then.
Controlology.
Yes.
No one would do a class if you said, hey, do you want to come do controlology with me? It's a longer name, so he kind of named it after himself, but that's basically the basis of it. Being able to control your body and control your movements. That's one thing, like I know we were talking beforehand, controlling emotions, but people have an issue with controlling their body and controlling their emotions. And that's like, how do you, with the Pilates, it's like, I want people to get better at controlling their body. Do you know your left from your right? Can you do X, Y, and Z with both sides? Most people are dominant on one side, but they can't do the same thing on the other. I always tell people, like, when they do the class, we always start off with footwork. Reason why, your feet are the foundation of your body. You stand on them for most of the time, and most people can't move their toes. Like I always say, fingers and toes are very similar. Yeah, you're going to try now, right?
Yeah.
But can you do just lift your big toe and nothing else? Right?
Yeah.
Can you lift and can you type and right? And a lot of people don't have that dexterity with their toes. And that's where it's like, if you don't have dexterity with toes, then you don't have movement in the ankles. And that can present in tight calves or tight hamstrings. Or when people say they have lower back pain, it's usually like their glutes aren't firing or hamstrings are tight, or it could be something above the chain or below the chain.
That is something I've dealt with myself personally. Yeah. So lower back pain, I've always realized that if I do leg day and I don't stretch for a longer period of time, that leads to a pain in my back. Yeah.
So that's probably your hamstring is tight and it's pulling on your glute and pulling on your back, and that's what you feel it. Because typically, and again, this is kind of a generalization, lower back pain is pain in the back presenting somewhere else. So did you stretch? Is your glute tight, or is one side looser than the other? And that's where you kind of feel that in your lower back.
It's so surprising. Like the human body is so complex. Like everything works in tandem to make sure that you function the way you're supposed to function.
100%. I always tell people, like in class, if your toes don't work, you might have lockjaw, and they're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, everything is connected.
If your toes don't work, you'll probably have a locked jaw.
Yeah, or if you like snore. So like there's fascia lines that really connect from your feet all the way to your mandible, right? And it's like there's a trick that one of my old trainers showed me where it's like he takes a credit card and he digs it into your jaw, right? And he loosens up right through here, and then your hamstring is a lot looser. And I'm like, how does that make sense? And he goes, if you follow the fascia lines, everything's connected.
Yeah.
So when people are like, oh, I can't do this on this side, tell me why. What happened? Oh, I used to hold my kid on this hip, so my hip was hiked up, and now I can't do anything on the right side, or my right knee hurts.
Because of the imbalance.
Exactly, right? So it's like the human body, like you said, is super complex, but everything is connected, and it's all one intricate. It's beautiful because like something you might have done when you were 10 years old to your right ankle could change how you become as an adult. And you're like, oh, I lean to the side now. Why is that? Because I broke that ankle, or different things.
Yeah.
So it's all like one connecting thing. And then on top of that, there's the mind-body connection. And that's something that, again, with Pilates, because you have to focus and you have to pay attention to your movements, it's can you control your mind to control your body? And then do you have the awareness to, okay, we're going to move this leg independently and I don't want the other leg to move, or we're going to keep your core engaged as these arms and legs move at a different pace or a different timing. So it's a full mental, physical, and I would also say a little bit of a spiritual movement to get you into a complete regimen.
Wow. Right now I'm just fascinated by it.
You gotta try it. So.
I have to, because first of all, I didn't know that Pilates is just, it's not just for women. It was founded by a man for men.
Yeah.
That was the foundation. Because in India, you don't see, at least when I was back in India, you didn't see Pilates much. Or even if there was, maybe it was way too expensive. So I couldn't see it out there.
Yeah.
My recent exposure was maybe back in my college and the fitness center.
Okay.
But even over there, I've mostly seen just women do it. And even on the internet.
Yeah.
So, see, when you talk about when I got into fitness,
Yeah.
it was mostly like, okay, you would have all the bro boys coming together. We would lift, and working out was all about having a built physique, that V-tapered back, thick legs, not the chicken ones. And then
of course.
working on those calves and everything. So, can Pilates help you build muscle as well? I know it can help with the mind-muscle connection, which is fabulous, because one thing I've realized working out over the past years is that I think the amount of muscle that I've built as of now is not because of lifting heavy, but because of having constant tension on my muscle because of the mind-muscle connection. The more I focus on it, the more I fire those neurons.
Yeah.
So, but can Pilates help you build muscle as well?
I wouldn't say build muscle. Like, you're not going to get big size from doing Pilates, but you're going to get strength. Like I mentioned, you're going to go into a range of motion that you might not have been in. And then you're going to get strength in that motion. So I always tell people, like, yes, I always think you need to do both, like weight room and Pilates is kind like you said, the bros, they still have the opportunity. I love taking guys and being like, hey, if you do these two exercises with me in the Pilates studio, I guarantee that your squat's going to get 5 pounds on it right now. And they're like, impossible. And I'm like, okay. And it's usually just opening up their hips or a hamstring stretch or something of that nature. Same thing like bench press. If you want to do bench press, I can do certain movements that open up your shoulder mobility, and then you're going to recruit more muscles because you're getting deeper on your press.
That's so true.
Right?
Like going with the proper range of motion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in terms of like size, like I've been doing Pilates for a year. I wouldn't say I'm a big guy, right? But strength-wise, you're definitely going to get strength because you can do it to where you're working on stability. You can do it where you're working on strength. You can do it where you're working on range of motion or flexibility. That's the beauty of it. It's very versatile. So I always say, like, work it as a system with your workouts. And then I always challenge people, like, do a couple sessions with me. Do something before your workout so you can see, like, I have one 15-year-old that I train. And he's like, I have a big basketball game coming up. And I'm like, okay. So we did Pilates before his game. He's like, I'm not going to be too tired. I'm like, no, we took it easy. And he was like, my hips were super open. His lateral speed was way better. And I'm like, yeah, it's range of motion, right? He hates to stretch. Most of us do, right? But that's where it's like, okay, you did a little bit of Pilates. That's opening up your hips. And then he played a really good game because he had lateral quickness and he didn't feel restricted.
Wow.
Like, I get so many people leaving class and they're like, I feel taller and I don't feel tight. And I'm like, that's how you should always feel. Let's chase that. Make sure that that's your normal. Because we're just too many of us that are just like, we are too
walk like a robot.
Yeah, we're just too tight, and it's like just loosen up, right? So
body was meant to move freely the flow, but I think
movement is medicine. Movement is medicine.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly. Even movement in the nature.
That's it, right? We just need to get back to that.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get back to moving. Like, we just don't move enough. There's too much technology. There's too many things that distract us. We sit too much. It's just, we gotta move. We gotta move.
So coming to movement, when was the time you actually doubled down that movement is something that takes precedence over a good looking physique, because there are always two sides of debates to it. What's good looking? You can call a sculpted physique good looking,
Yeah.
but that's not always the good looking one. What's real fitness for you?
For me, it's pain free. It's like everybody. Oh, sorry, not everyone. It's a ghost generalization. In your 20s or in my 20s, it's like, yes, I was chasing like this low body fat, and for me, it was like there was always aching pains, and I think I ended up having to have surgery on my hip. And when I had my hip surgery, all I wanted to do was move, and I was in a bed for like a week after the surgery, could barely walk, and they're like, you have to move, and I'm like, I'm trying to, but it was just hard. And then I thought, I don't want to be immobile. I don't want to sit in a wheelchair. I don't want to like not move. So I was like, the more you could, and then like I started moving, and I'm like, it hurt. Right? Like anyone that's had surgery, like usually that part is very tender or it's restricted movement. So then I'm like, okay, I am way too young to be an old man right now and not being able to move, right? So I'm like, how do I get more movement in this hip? How can I move? So like it started off with like baby steps, and I'd walk from my bed to the end of the hallway, and I'm like, okay. Then I was like, can I make it down the stairs? Can I make it back up the stairs? Can I make it to the end of the street? And after that, I think my training style changed. My view on Pilates widened, because there's a lot of people that they just accept pain, right? And it's like, that's just the normal. I can't do this, or my shoulder doesn't do this, and that's just the normal. And I'm like, no, like you shouldn't be in pain. Like that's not normal, right? Pain is your body showing you like this doesn't work or something isn't working. And it's like, we need to, I don't know, Freud always says like you steer towards pain or you steer away from pain, right? And it's like most people go away from pain, but that's where you get compensation. So it's like, how do you get people to not be in pain? And that's like why I'm doing this journey, and why I like talk about Pilates, and like that goes into like food, which is the other thing that I literally like. I run a restaurant, right? I manage a restaurant. So